Gotta relax.
This is Earth Radio. And now here's human music.
Human music. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Gotta relax.
This is Earth Radio. And now here's human music.
Human music. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Gotta relax.
This is Earth Radio. And now here's human music.
Human music. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it.
Test. Oh, yeah, that seems to be working just fine. Hello. All right, let's switch over to, some kind of screen here. Greetings, my friends. Ian here with Voidstrummer, making some procedural artwork for Tezos, just because I like to. And away we go. Let's go to, either one of these screens will do. So what I am attempting to do right now is make a scaly ink cap texture in substance, or I'd say more of a material. So something along these lines. This is a pretty high bar to shoot for here, these fibers. But we're going to try to get into something that is evocative of this. Also, I noticed that there are some pretty strong striations along this surface here. So anyway, so that's what I'm trying to accomplish here today. Batman might join us shortly. We'll see. But in the meantime, let's just figure this out. So what I want to do here, I guess I want to plug that in. I see I'm seeing no variation on this surface here, which vexes me mightily. So we got this could be a factor. Why are we? Oh, because we're taking we've got a normal map here already, and we're trying to blend. Yeah, we're trying to blend this wrong. So that's the issue with that. But while we're at it, let's just put something into the roughness map here. A little easier to see the normals until we actually get to working on the roughness part. So we'll switch that. I have a color output here. Doesn't look very nice right now. This is the basis for this is this brown inky material that I have created, which looks like this. So this is what I want to be underneath of the scales. So I've got that piped over here into the furry scales material. And I am in the process of integrating the furry scale bump, or excuse me, the furry scale bump into the normal map from the other sitch there. So we need to convert this to a normal, which does not require a gradient map. Send that right over to there. Now it is a normal, and now we can use a blend. I don't think I've ever done this before, but it should probably work. So we take this blend here. We're going to use this as a mask. And then we're going to blend in our inky cap, and that's masking the wrong way. So we just need to invert that mask right along here. Invert grayscale. And now it flips the other way. And we have this much too subtle expression of the scales. And we have the rest. Now, why Now I see we're getting this blend here, which isn't entirely bad, but in this blend here because this is blended. So we need to work on the levels here. Let's do it on this side. Depending on which side you do it, it just reverses which controls you're moving. Let's go ahead and slide this over here. We want a lot more of the scale end of it. And we're looking at the back right now. There's a seam in the back of these mushrooms, but it doesn't matter. All right, so here we go. And then I wonder if we can kind of boost this. Yeah, okay. So we can get those to pop a little bit more. I like that. I don't know if I'm going to use displacement on these. Ultimately, it seems like a wise choice, but displacement is a little janky and can slow things down and eats up a lot of memory. So try to avoid that if I can. And we'll just keep rolling right onward here. So let's see. We've got this is now blended reasonably. I guess the next step is, I've got these little warps and distortions here, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. In fact, we might be able to work that in our benefit. Well, it's not entirely clear if we can get those to pop out the other way. I might be able to layer these on top of each other to create sort of like a greater protrusion at the bottom, but that seems like a teeny detail that might not be worth pursuing right now. So I'm going to turn this warp intensity down. I'm not really sure what it's doing mathematically, it seemed, but the effect for this material when converted into a normal is to kind of spread and flatten a little bit, which I like better than this sort of drop light like dripping quality. That's not as useful to me. In fact, I'm willing to accept a little bit of that warp at the bottom because I don't think it's going to be noticeable. Now, the other issue I have with this material here is at the top. But these characters tend to be seen from down here, so I don't have to do like the game engine ready version of any of this stuff, which is fun. Allows me to focus on the cool stuff and making it work from a particular angle and not solving fiddly problems that are better left to engineers on teams, in my opinion. DGC, thank you for the good vibes. Appreciate that. What's your good vibes today? What you up to? All righty. So now we can plug this back in and get a somewhat better idea of where we're headed here. I could stand to make these more dense, but one thing I love about this working in Substance Designer, I've never really liked hand painting textures. I get very antsy. It's laborious, and you get one thing at the end. I love this approach to material development because it allows you to synchronize the development of all of the various components you need to make your material look cool, your roughness and your ambient occlusion normals and all that fun stuff. And also you can do things like this. You can decide, I want to see, do we want more furry coverage there? Do I want to make these wider, for example? How do I want these to land? I can adjust all that and it will propagate down through the network, affecting the normals and the roughness and the color all at the same time. So that's where we're headed here. However, I am going to work on a little roughness action here. Let's see, what is it? Noon? We got about an hour to go. That'll be fun. All righty. Who else is hanging out there joining us for the lovin'? Okay, this is very shiny. We oiled this up good. This is like fresh into the pan, covered in vegetable oil, ready to be fried up, I guess. Some ink caps are edible, but they go bad so fast that they are not commercially cultivated. But now that I am learning how to cultivate mushrooms, perhaps I will make some of my own. I have my fruiting chamber set up. I've done a couple of kits. Decided to build a shotgun fruiting chamber and automate it. So that is nearly ready to go. I just need to pull the trigger and start my next kit in the shotgun fruiting chamber, this time with automated climate controls and all that fun stuff. So that's been a fun build, but I can't quite claim to be there yet. Just done a couple of kits at this stage, but I wonder if there is a inky ink cap kit, or I could probably get the spores and learn about how to cultivate them. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at these reference materials here. You probably don't know what I'm talking about. Sorry, I looked over at that earlier, and I probably was talking about it without showing it off. So my apologies for that. But yeah, no, I did drag this one over before, but I didn't show the rest. So let's show more. Let's just make this a little bit bigger. There we go. And as you can see, they have lots of fun different forms. Look at this, like these beautiful high contrast pinstripes on the underside of the cap. And it's all just frazzled and curled and done. It's done with the world. They get these dripping, disgusting looking sort of tears of tar around the rim of the cap, and then eventually the whole thing starts going to shit. It's really beautiful, really a gorgeously visceral, like gooey, deliciously textural material and objects here, these fruiting bodies. So having fun figuring out how to come up with a nice wide range of expression for them. We even have some designs ready. Let's see here. I think I have some sketches around here. Let's see. Where did I put those sketches? Is that under Mildudes? I don't remember now. Maybe I just put it up here in the chat. I'll get it one way or the other to show y'all some of the ideas we have going. I'll let Batman share his sketches when he is able to get here if he wants to. But these are the ones I've done so far. And these ones are, I'm kind of exploring the idea that maybe the ink caps, and this was actually Batman's idea, are a little more sinister, a little more dangerous seeming. So, with some kind of like grim, like determination, grim thug kind of look here, dangerously crazy, old. I imagine a conquistador gone mad, and so on. Little baby face here. I don't know why this Ron Swanson mustache made it in, but I'm assuming he's thinking something terrible. A little crazy Dolly here. Not exactly evil, but perhaps dangerous. Mad, bad, and dangerous to know. That was Francis Bacon, or was that Lord Byron? I forget. In any case, so this is kind of the direction we're headed in. And these are kind of the materials we're considering. So let's get back to Wake, shall we? Put those back where they belong. Get my reference back where I like it. And now we're blending the roughness. So you might be saying, well, Ian, what's procedural about this? Well, okay, apart from the fact that this network, this graph theory, by the way, is a branch of mathematics. I think it might fall under number theory. Hey, thanks very much, Oscar. I appreciate that. Which is it's just rad to know that there's like a mathematics that underlies all these graph-based programming systems. Sort of like mathematicians worked out like what the range of possibilities are and what the expressive potential of these systems are. And then engineers came along and said, you know what a graph would be good for? So procedures. So here's a procedure, generate this. The details of that procedure are hidden by this node called fluid. We might be able to unpack it. I don't know. Can we open the reference to this? Open. Yeah, so here's what it's made from. Here's an FX map, which is another type of procedure, one that I admit that I have utilized but have a hard time understanding still. It's like a way of generating patterns by generating them in quadrants and then splitting the quadrants into quadrants themselves and allowing you to put different elements and shapes and effects in each of those quadrants and then shake the whole thing up. I'll do it on the show sometime and we'll play around with it some more. In any case, so this is all just the process of making this ready for use as a node here. So that's the procedure that drives this. And moreover, the other side of procedure, a transformation, a Cartesian to polar transformation. If you're not familiar with that, the net is it takes things that are linear and makes them circular. And just various manipulations of the level of white. Let's map some of the gray pixels more to white so that we get more bright drips and et cetera, et cetera. So that's the procedure, but also inherent to this tool, to Substance Designer, is that many of the nodes are themselves driven by a random seed. And so I can take the global random seed here. And let me, before I do that, let me just plug some things back in here. Why are we not seeing this? Let's drag this onto here. Make sure. There we go. Get that back where it belongs. Let's do the roughness here, and then we'll jump back in. Oh, here's Batman. Added to stream. Hello.
Hey, was just going to message you.
Yeah, I just saw you there.
All good.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
We got Oscar and DGC here, and I shared some of our sketches.
Hell Fantastic.
And I'm just working on a substance for this cap, this ink cap
Wonderful.
here. Yeah, it's coming out okay so far. I'm just adding I don't know how I'm going to get the furriness of these scales, but one step at a time.
Yeah, it's something I was thinking about. I was like, do we do something like hair cards?
That's a pretty solid idea. And in fact, if I'm not able to get this working, I had been considering like a particle system, but of course, hair cards with a particle system, a match made in heaven.
Yeah. So that's what I was just thinking. I was going to say particles, and then I was thinking about how much the drips and ink blobs, like how they clearly seem to be weighing down the scene, even though I have them just subdiv.
I don't think it's well. Have you tried it since I mentioned those changes to you?
I haven't. No, I
okay.
still need to do that.
It's just not going to take anywhere near that amount of time. So okay. I handed over my one of my our systems to Batman, our previous system, system. Yeah, okay, you get it. And the I can't spit it out now. I can't get it out of my mouth.
It was basically I was messing with some particles stuff, yes. And I was thinking that was the issue, but there was issue with the script where it was constantly rendering, right? You basically said it was
yeah. So what it was actually doing was rendering 5 mildudes.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, at whatever resolution the scene was set up for. So they might even be on your system somewhere. Let's see here.
Those little devils are just lurking somewhere on my computer.
Well, yeah, I had the output hard coded for like an H drive, but I'm not sure what it would do if it couldn't push that stuff to an H drive. So I'll give you a file name to search for, and you can see if it's there somewhere.
Okay.
Let's see. So since I was planning to give Batman a bit of an overview of our script and a little bit of a lesson in how it works, I'll do that now briefly. But I need to learn how to maximize panel blender. How do I make a Blender full screen? No. How do I make Blender full screen? Honestly. Okay, view, area, toggle, maximize.
Dude, there's a whole industry of people who make those like dumb videos. Like one of the things like YouTube videos where you just like hide something in your settings or find something in your settings. There are all those videos that like there was a video that a guy had made that was just like, oh, how do you like find this in your settings in YouTube? You just do this. I'm like, this guy's probably made 100 videos of just like where's this setting, and it's brilliant because you're like, yeah, that totally is helpful. It's really basic. I would have eventually found it, but there's a video for it. And you're like, really, who needs that? But like,
and it's just he gets put ranking in the world's second largest search engine. And
not to mention, like, we're pretty savvy, computer savvy. Like, there's a lot of old people in the world that need to know like how to full screen an object or a program, a software program.
Because they're too fucking lazy.
That's the problem. You're too lazy, you old so-and-so.
My grandpa's 92. Okay, well, he picks things up slower. That's to be expected, but he works on it, God damn it.
He works after it.
All right, so we're going to, okay, here's the beginning of the script for Primordius Eternus, which is our system that makes the existing mildudes. If you're joining us and you don't know what the hell a mildude is, I might as well clue you in on that as well. So Jamie and I work on the mildudes project together. We are a couple of CG artists. And when I learned that people in the NFT scene were into procedural stuff, well, my whole world changed because I've been interested in doing procedural artwork for years and years, and I played with it on the side, but I had a really hard time committing tons of time to it because I didn't really see how I could sustain it financially, and for some reason that was important to me at the time. So when NFTs came around and people are wanting procedural projects, it became a no-brainer for us to just think of excuses to make procedural projects and give them a shot on the blockchain. So on Tezos, we have a project called mildudes. It's a little small here. It's these guys, but let's see. Let's go to Linkfire. So that was my Twitter account. Of course, here's my Linkfire, and here are the mildudes. Click through to those. And you can see on voidstrummer.com/mildudes, we've got sort of a rundown, like, hey, here's who we are and why we're making these things and what we're into, and so forth. And we've got a little bit of a roadmap here. I don't want to chase like the business plan of NFTs that are like, people are going, oh my God, somebody made $2.3 million because they slapped 5 layers together. So we're not so much chasing that, but I get the appeal of like, hey, where's this headed? And then over on object.com, we've minted up, I think we got 21 of these guys. So only 15 of these guys have been released on here so far. And we have 6 on the old hen contract, which, if you're not familiar, Hicket Nunk is the prior major Tezos marketplace. It went tits up, if you'll forgive the expression. But we really appreciate them for the time that they gave us and the opportunity, because it was really cool to discover this world through them. So, but here is our, there's only 8 owners of Mildudes right now, which is kind of nuts for a volume of 67 Tezos. And, we got our 15 goodies here. And we're looking to do the next flush, the next species. This is like the 3rd flush or something up here. But we're looking to do the next species, and that's where the ink caps will be. So that's the backstory for what Mildudes are. And let's back up, and back up again. Oh, looks like I got some new messages. Y'all looking forward to checking those later. And this is the system that generates those within this Blender file. So here's all the code. It's nothing too crazy. It's just putting a lot of ideas together that I don't know how many other folks ever thought would be interesting to put together, but I think they're interesting to put together. So the structure of this, this is Python. The language is Python, which is a fairly easy to understand and read language. It's older and it's got a lot of stuff bolted on, but the amount of shit you can do with it is incredible. It's so flexible in so many different fields and applications. I haven't even begun to scratch the surface. Like, at some point I want to hook up open computer vision to this and see what kind of craziness we can put together by including machine learning in identifying objects, and if we can steal textures from images that way and mix and match them. Oh, so many fun possibilities. But anyway, so I got to keep this as high level as possible. We're importing a bunch of other code here. This is just like code to do things, code to interact with Blender, code to do random stuff, code to do math, code to interact with the operating system, etc. Here's we're building we're just creating a random number generator. We're calling it CMB random. It's going to be our personal random number generator that we can use throughout the script here. And we're setting it with a particular seed. Particular seed means that it'll always start with the same number. Every time you start this random number generator, it'll give you a 6 or a 4 or whatever. It depends on how you ask for the random number, but it'll give you the same one if you ask in the same way every time. And then it'll give you the same next one and next one and next one and next one all the way down the line. So what you can do is you can build a system where you give it a particular number and it gives you a particular output, as long as you don't change the order in which everything is made. So that for that recipe, it'll generate an unlimited number of variations that you tell it how to variate upon. So here we're just giving names for a bunch of stuff in my scene. I'm lazy. I didn't want to hard code, or I didn't care about hard coding this, meaning just type in the names and be ready to go. So these are just references to all the stuff in the scene, right? So let's see. This is got a particular name, the fog block, and we got let's see here. I want to see that stuff. Is this stuff? Oh, let's unhide that. Got the stem base. You got the cap base. You got all kinds of the eyes, the eye right, eye left, blah blah blah. All that's in there. And then we gotta get it done here. So here we go. We're naming a bunch of stuff, and then def. This all starts with def. Def means we're gonna create a set of instructions, but we're only gonna run them when you say so. So you give them special names, 0 key blocks, and then you say, okay, well, pass me a key, shape key, blah blah blah. A lot of stuff that it's not beneficial for me to explain at this stage. So chaosify key blocks. That's a routine I have for like mixing, matching a bunch of parameters without much thought. We got varying the lights in the environment and the caps and the gills and the stem and all this stuff. And all this code just varies the different parts. Let's make the eyes a little bigger, a little smaller. Let's change the shape of the face, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So all of this is just like the meat and potatoes of like, okay, when we're working on the eyelids, what the fuck do we do? And then we get down to these various commands, which are what we're using at the end here. So we've got the pound sign means don't do this, but I just keep them there in case oh, now it's do that, right? So I can just quickly untoggle that pound sign and get this thing running. So in this case, what I sent it to him looking like was something like this, which you might look at and say, oh, as I didn't do, but I frequently forget to check these things. You might look at this and say, oh, he's telling it to render these 6 things. What's up?
Verbal.
Yeah.
Your screen is cropped, so it's hard to see what you're doing.
Oh, that's
so when you were going through some of it, you could still see a lot of what was going on, but now that you're typing and editing because of the way our screens are,
yeah, thank you. Okay, I'll just switch to this for the moment.
Just go to you. Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, I'll just scroll back through here. I'm not going to repeat everything, but section where we're naming stuff, just references to the scene. So now in my code, I can say stem deform origin object, and it's always going to refer to that object in my scene. And then on down the line for anything I need to talk to. These are the definition blocks I was telling you about. These are called function definitions. A function is just a black box where you tell it some stuff, it does some stuff, and it will change. It'll give you some kind of an output, or it'll do something for you. So I just created these functions for like, okay, do the eye work, do the cap and gill work, do the stem work, blah, blah, blah. And then there are a few devoted to just running the system. Like, oh, I need to see give me another one. I want to test this out. Give me another cut or another mildew. Give me another mildew. So starting like all variations here, these are all just for getting stuff out of the system. And so down here at the bottom, this is what I sent Batman, and it's called render list. Well, you might guess that's going to render a list of mildews, but I didn't catch it at the time. So these 6 mildews are just getting piped out on his system to God knows where. He was running, going, why does it take 5 minutes to generate a mildew now? Well, because you're generating 6 of them at some resolution. Let's see, what is this set to? You're generating 6 of them at 1K. No, 2K. So that's going to take a minute.
Yeah, it's not bad, actually, all things considered. I was like, if this were my old machine, it would have just taken it fully down. But
that's right. You got a newbie over there. You got a new machine over there.
Yeah, that's right. So it can at least handle it. It wasn't going all out.
Well, if you want to figure out if you might have those files, let's see, where's output file name being defined? Because that's where we got a output file name here. You might look and search your drive for Primordia _Generica and see underscore batch star.star and just see if there's something hiding out there. In any case, if we just want to see more mildews, we just throw it into all variations here. This is going to use a random seed. This one,
I got to say this. I got to interrupt. This I typed it in, like you could just search on Windows.
Yeah.
And if it can't find anything immediately on your machine, it's like, oh, do you want to search the internet? And the first entry that came up on the internet on Bing, I'm assuming, is penis envy primordia generic. Welcome to the DMT Nexus.
Wait a minute. Penis envy generica.
Or penis envy primordia. And then it says generic, welcome to the DMT Nexus. So it's like, it's clearly is like, if it's DMT related, it is mushroom related, but it's also
ancient path naturals. Oh, penis envy mushrooms. Yeah, that's a magic mushroom. That's a that contains psilocybin. It's one of the 20 or so psilocybin mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I didn't connect it until I looked at there and you started saying that. I'm like, oh yeah, there is a dick mushroom that has psilocybin in it. I've never seen one in real life, but I
figured that was worth interrupting over.
Oh, for sure. So when it's set to all variations, it just chooses a seed at random. If you pass in a number such as the current frame, it will always use the current frame number, which is how I can just go to a particular one and generate a mushroom for that particular frame and always go back and get it as long as we're using the same file, which I think is going to be valuable one day. There's no use for it for me right now, but it's just one of those things where I'm like, well, if there is a mildews in 1.5 to 2 years, I'm gonna be happy that I can get back and generate these at higher resolution, for example, to do like airdrops to the holders or whatever it is that seems fun to do at that time.
Yeah, you are saving yourself a lot of just time searching by doing this.
I balanced it out it'd be impossible to recover some of them. There's just too many variations. And there's like arbitrary numbers and everything. I balanced it out though by accidentally mixing the wallets between mildews and cousins. So our cousin's wallet is the same as our mildew's wallet. So every time we go to deal with the money there, we're going to have to like sit down and figure out like, okay, well, we got this much from from this secondary sale and this much from this primary sale.
Oh boy.
It's all on the blockchain though, brother. So we'll just have to handle the pain.
We'll just buy us an ice cream shop with that money and we'll go into ice cream together.
I like that idea. Man,
we don't have to worry about this profit.
Some fudge ripple.
That's right. We can do some Primordia penile pistachio.
Oh, that's a good idea. California's going to legalize, so it's only a matter of time, so we can get our peens in the creams there.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
Have your ice cream and feel it too.
Yes, that's right. One for your mouth, one for your pants. I like this guy.
Well, oh yeah. The thing I dig about it too is like, even though it is difficult to track down specific things, without like your this feature that allows you to go back and check what's been selected and recreate it. It still is fantastic for getting close, but because these guys are all unique, maybe the idea that you can't get back to certain specifics is okay. Like maybe you're like, well, that was like he's a little snowflake. That's one and done. So you can't get the exact one, but you can get very close.
Yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but it was one of those things, you're going along in a project, and it's one of those things where you're going, I feel like I'm going to want to have this in my pocket later. Something tells me.
Yeah.
Even if you never use it, it wasn't, it's just a little bit of discipline and, making sure that I set aside those files. Because it's funny, the way the system works, if you change one step in there, like add a new choice, you can never get any of them back again. Because those numbers are now going to produce completely different results. At least they will produce completely different results after that choice. So if you change it halfway through and it picks the stem and the face in the first half, those will be the same. But if it's picking the cap and the colors in the second half, those would be different, which is fun to speculate about. I guess, you make a good point, because one of the main reasons I like doing this is because I get surprised. The system gets to surprise me all the time, which I think is really rad.
Yeah, I think the idea that these, in some respect, are kind of one of a kind, even for us, is pretty cool. And
there's something to that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see here. We've got. I really love working with nodes. I like working programmatically in general. I guess if I had the option to do the same thing with a robust tool set in code, that might be even better. But this is a nice, easy way to visualize it and to also explain it to other people, right? It doesn't have quite the same like intimidation factor as like a wall of text with a bunch of secret, difficult to understand, like, well, I don't know. It says there's some words here I get, but then I don't know what the fuck the rest of this stuff is.
Yeah, so it's only the swarm of connections that really, like, it's always the thing, like, I used to see when you'd see professional texture artists before you knew anything about texturing, and you're like, here's my map. And you're like, you made sense of that? But, like, you realize, you're like, okay, well, they know what each of these things are when they zoom in, but it's a mess to them, too. It's just they understand what leads to what and what's doing what, And so it's like, you connect this to this, and then it creates, do you want your normal map, your bump map, your, and then your file name and your output and your input node and all these things that are doing all these. And you're like, oh, that's connected to that one piece, but it also is connected to all these other pieces. And once you break it down, you're like, okay, once I start understanding what's happening, you're okay. But man, when you just looking at it it's like looking at scan data for people. You're just like, that's a knot that can't be untangled. And you're like, well, it can. You have to know.
It's time to get to work. Time to roll up our sleeves.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly.
All right. So I think we've got like a better sheen along these protrusions, and now.
Yeah, those are looking cool.
Now the furry part. Okay. How to get furry? Wondering if I should just, because I don't know of a great solution for the tangling. Right. There are things you can do, like you can fence things and to different groups, and you can what else can you do? You can comment, and you can encapsulate things into like sub networks and stuff. But it's ironic that although this is less intimidating for people that are new to this type of work, it's ultimately less readable than if it was just written in code. You know?
Yeah, because at least in code, there'd be an outline structure, like a space.
It's linear
structure. Yeah, it's linear. So you see like this, and then these are subsets of that, right?
Right.
Versus this map actually makes it more like trying to follow a freeway or something where you're
it's like how did Billy get home
just...
in a what is the old Family Circus cartoons? Like nobody's going to get that reference. Nobody alive today understands that.
I know a Family Circus, but I don't know what the reference.
So we used to have some little Family Circus compilation books at our house. I don't know why. Maybe because my dad thought the mom was sexy or something. But so Bill Keane would occasionally do these comics where it's like, hey, Billy, come home for dinner. And then it would show like a dotted line where he starts heading home, but then he gets distracted and goes and pets a puppy. And then so it's like this really circuitous route all the way around the neighborhood before he gets home. And that's how I grew up too. I not a lot of supervision, just like, leave in the morning, come home at night often.
Oh, wow.
We'd just go hack blackberry trails and stuff like that through the, I guess it was like a swampland or the wetlands nearby. My dad didn't know it, but we would grab like rusty sickles and machetes and stuff from the garage, and we would get on this hillside, and there were these like blackberry brambles that were maybe 8 or 10 feet thick. And we would just crawl in from one side and start hacking tunnels through there. Occasionally we'd fall down the hill and roll into massive tangles of blackberries. Like if we ever got genuinely stuck in there, there was no adult that was going to be able to come in and get us out. It was nuts.
That is nuts.
But it was a good time. Yeah, I made this really awesome. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's like fun kid adventures, like, but potential for a lot of risk there, but not so much where it's like, where I would feel inclined to be like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. That was oh, that sounds like a good childhood memory, right?
Most kids survived, most. It's fine.
Occasionally,
I used to do a lot of dangerous stuff creatively as a kid. My friends had to. Yeah. Okay. So like my buddy, when we were like 11 or 12, he needed to stack the firewood for the winter before he could play. And I was over there, like there was a situation where I could go over there and hang out. And then like nobody minded if the neighbor kids helped with the chores, of course. Sure. So sometimes I'd just help out with the chores, whatever they were. One time I cleaned their room so thoroughly that my friends weren't too pleased because it was like, you're setting a bad standard here. But I had gone into like crevices nobody had gone into before and found like old books and shit that were missing. It was, I don't know. I just got hyper focused on it for whatever reason. And this time I got hyper focused on building a fort using the wood pile. I'm like, well, we've got wood. We've got this garage. They had like an old, detached garage in the back of their property that was pretty good size. And we've got these pallets. So we built like an understructure with the pallets that created like a hollow area next to a window. So if you opened the sliding door to the garage, it would cover up this window. And if you closed it, the window would be revealed, but they always kept the door open. So our entrance was covered up. We could slide it open and get in there and then cover it back up again. And then we stacked the wood on the pallets on the other side to create the shell that looked like a wood pile that contained 6 to 8 times more wood than they had. And it was awesome. And we played in there for a little while, and then it was gone one day.
Yeah.
And I never heard if my friends had to fix it or if like their dad fixed it for them, or, I'd feel bad if they had to restack all that. And I wouldn't put it past that bastard, but.
Oh man, there's some life skills there. Like when I worked at PacSun for a while, like I kept getting brought into like people's like different stores, and they would be like, hey, can you help with our back room? Like you always your back room's always nice, your stock's always nice. And I would always just be like, I don't have to do anything except just reorganize this. It's all appearances, you guys. Like consolidating boxes, breaking stuff down, and getting stuff that it's like out of the way. So like if you have some stuff that's like right in your face, everyone's gonna see it. But if you have that corner that's been filled with nonsense, put it over there if you can't deal with it now, and then everything else just consolidate. And I would just do all that, and it just made me. That was like one of the times that I realized it's like, oh, like so much effort is like do honest work. But when it comes to certain things that like there's a show element involved, you need to know how to like game the system to buy yourself good favor in order to do the real good job, right? So like the whole point is to just make the like reorganize the back room so you look like a hero, like you like went through all this stock and all this stuff, but then that buys you the good favor to actually go through and be like, okay, now we need to actually go through these things that need to
do it properly,
and we have the bandwidth to do it because we have the perspective that we're heroes, and we save the day.
We could be heroes just for one day.
That's that lesson right there to me. It's like you used it for like a little like play area or whatever, this little secret area, but it's like the whole trick was that you had created this perception of like quantity of effort and work that allowed you to be like, yeah, we're good. We can play in here. We got the space.
Yeah.
Fine.
It's funny you should mention that because I told you I was reading Dick Feynman's, well, it's not his book, but it's about him. Richard Feynman, the physicist, one of the key figures in the Manhattan Project and just a fascinating individual. He talks about doing the same thing a lot, about like being a fairly clever guy and being highly interested in the world, but then lucking his way into situations where that cleverness, it became possible to leverage that into a different perception of him. So, you know, like he got a reputation as a safecracker at Los Alamos, and he was always giving the brass a hard time about how insecure their security was there. And as his reputation grew, people would challenge him to do things. And because he was always fiddling with them, he was kind of always 60% prepared to have a miracle occur. So it's like he would have taken the numbers off of safes that when they were open, because he figured out that you could like kind of absentmindedly fiddle with the gauge while you were chatting with somebody and take the numbers off their safe. So he could get the last two numbers while it was sitting there open, for example. But other people didn't know he was doing that at the time. So they'd like have an emergency. Let's see if Dick can get it open. And then he would stretch it out, right? He'd be like, okay, well, let me concentrate. And they'd pretend to fiddle with it for a little while.
When he already had two of the three.
Right. And he'd set expectations like, oh, he had figured out so much crazy shit. But anyway, he set expectations like, oh, this, you know, it'd take a good safe cracker 30 minutes. I can maybe do it in 45. But then he'd let them get impatient and then open it at about 7. Right. And this kind of, I mean, he was a clever guy, but this kind of stuff led to amazing opportunities for him throughout his life. Like a throwaway comment he made about patenting the idea of a nuclear powered plane, because at the time, nobody knew the applications of these nuclear energy experiments they were doing. It was all secret. And so the government was pressuring all the scientists to give up any idea they could so that they could patent it and make money off it later. And he tossed out those ideas like, oh, there's a zillion things you could possibly do with it. And later on, he was asked to be the director of an elaborate lab because his name was on a patent, not because he knew anything about the topic, but because his name was on the patent.
Of course.
Oh, craziness. Really having a lot of fun reading his book. He's a little misogynistic, but fascinating character, and not a complete piece of shit, but somewhat, I don't know if autistic is the right term, but certainly eccentric.
Yeah, sounds like a really interesting guy. I mean, it's always great when you, in some respects, it's like meeting your heroes where you find out these little tricks and things that people do. But you're like, I always appreciate it because I'm like, oh, well, while it does like show you the man behind the curtain, it also makes you realize like everybody's human, and no matter how many of these people are incredible, it's rare that they're so incredible that they're like unreachable to the average person. There's usually something to it, you know, that they're like, I mean, some people are just geniuses. They really are.
He talks about meeting the proper geniuses in his view. Like he was clearly an incredibly capable individual. I don't know what the Mason-Dixon line between genius and otherwise is, but he talks about meeting like Enrico Fermi and Niels Bohr and Hans Bethe and just John von Neumann, Einstein, all these people that he worked with or worked for or met at one time or another. And he talks about their capabilities, and you really start to see the difference. Like, it's not that they could never relate to another person, but it's that their thought process on the topic of their special interests is so valuable. Like, why would they, for them to talk on any level about other things is, often it's the only thing that they're particularly interested in, or they're interested in everything they're interested in to that same level. And they have incredible working memories and they never forget anything. And they can have a 3-hour long conversation and remember what happened at the beginning. And just the list goes on and on and on. But on the other hand, Hans, he said that I think it was Bors or Beta would come in to his office and just bounce stuff off of him because he was the only dude there that wouldn't like kiss his ass. And instead, Feynman would just say, no, that's a crazy idea. This won't work, blah, blah, blah. And he would just blurt out the first thing that came to him. And it turned out that a lot of these sort of quote unquote genius muckety mucks didn't need other people to tell them, yeah, boss, whatever you say, boss. They needed people to challenge them and to push them. So as to your point about the humanity of it all, I think that is a sort of reveals a bit of the humanity, in those big minds.
Yeah, it's like it always makes me feel better because I recognize there's like geniuses, like even in our little group here, I'm like I always feel like I'm the dullard, and I don't.
Oh, please.
But just I recognize you're a very intelligent person, and I'm like, okay, I have my own abilities here, but like there's just certain things that I'm not very good at in comparison to you. But I also see your I think you put it one time, you're like, well, you could do this too, it's just my ability to pay attention to some of these things well enough to figure it out. And I'm like, yeah, that really is it, because it's like
there's nothing I do. Look, I think I'm pretty objective when I say there's almost nothing I do at a technical level that isn't easily replicated by somebody that's familiar with it. I'm less of a Python programmer than any professional Python programmer. I'm less of a modeler than a lot of professional modelers, and I'm less of a designer than a lot of professional designers. But I'm relatively capable in several of those areas, and I have a burning interest to put them together in ways that just isn't of that much interest to a lot of people. Like it's just not. It's not something that people are trying to do. Only, something in me makes me want to try to do it. And, at the end of the day, what I often recognize is that as soon as somebody more capable tries to do this, then maybe I'm out of business. But until then, I'm just going to keep rolling.
you realize in life, you don't have to be the best at things. You just you just need to sometimes be like the first or good enough or the best in your group.
Yeah.
and that's good enough. But the thing that you point out is the skill or like the superhuman ability is your attentiveness. And that is something that it's like, well, some people can persevere through things they absolutely hate, but I don't think you hate any of this. I think you really have a great ability to be attentive and want to do it and pursue it, and that's like the superhuman element. It doesn't take away from your effort, because your effort is absolutely
I agree.
It is a feature of you being able to pay attention to something. Like just in the same way my dad always talks about, like every time he sees that I've created something, he's just like, you could give me a million years and I could never do that. And I'm like, yeah, but you can cite tax code from a book that's like 5,000 pages long to like that. And I could you could give me a million years and I could never memorize something like that. So we're all good at our own things.
No, it's powerful to recognize, and it helps me to like look for the genius in everybody. People like. I attract a lot of strange people, and I connect with a lot of strange people, or people that even I consider strange, or just people that have quirks. They overshare. They are into weird stuff, but they're all like from the people whom I might have judged to be the dumbest to people whom I might have the better way to say it, from people that I might have judged to be not very capable from the outset. If I take long enough, I'll always find something fascinating or something, exceptional is a loaded word, but if not exceptional, unique, relevant, and inspiring about almost everybody.
Absolutely.
People in general are just capable of some wild shit.
They are. And it's awesome to find.
Indeed. Man, time's flying today. We're almost out of time.
Once we get chatting. That's what happens. So I'm
Okay.
eliminating the backs. I've been watching all these like game art like tutorials of or like just people working of them
Mhm.
like doing UVs and models and stuff. And I was like, I'm just gonna eliminate the backs of these, even though they're not like a super crunch of these mushrooms or these mustaches.
Yeah.
Do you think that's safe?
Do
Like
I think it's safe?
yeah, in terms of my only fear would be in terms of perspective, right? Our little guys, they turn a little bit, but I think I'm eliminating only a tiny bit of the backs of these.
Yeah. That looks like it'll be fine.
Where I don't think it'll be an issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
It might not be worth
Makes
the
sense.
time for the benefit. It just depends on how. Okay, actually, it could be right because if we end up using displacement on the mustaches at all, then absolutely every polygon we remove will be a benefit to us.
Okay.
So I definitely wouldn't rule out its value.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it in terms of ease and UVing as well, because
Yeah.
essentially, like, I can do them in like a couple maps with a few splits here that should give like some pretty okay surface area without too much stretching here.
Excellent.
So that's how I'm looking at it. I forgot I had created the like Fu Manchu stash, and I'm wondering if I should create. Is that the right? Is that the food? The really long. Hold on, where is it? Oh, these are
like a handlebar that goes way down.
Yeah,
the Fu Manchu mustache. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's just look up Fu Manchu, and because I've never actually looked up who the hell or what the hell Fu Manchu.
Yes, let us learn this.
Let us find out what the origin. Okay, so there is. It looks like a. Oh, it's a character from a series of novels.
Oh.
Let's learn about Fu Manchu.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it like a? I always think it's a kung fu thing, right? Like
Is a fictional villain who was introduced in a series of novels by the English author Sax Rohmer during the first half of the 20th century. Well, this is fun. I seem to exclusively read fiction from the 1920s and 30s, so this might have to go on my list. The character was also extensively featured in cinema, television, radio, comic strips, and comic books for over 90 years. Look, so I have to know what the deal with a character that was in media for 90 years.
that's a heavy run, man. That's a
right. And you know, these books were because I had not even considered that there were books previously. I've seen it referenced in so many cheap ripoff movies, and you know, obviously the mustache and so forth. Yeah, that's great. By the way,
isn't that Kill Bill where he's like it's Pai Mei or whatever her
Pai Mei, yeah,
and he's like I always think of him now because he does it so well. He like turns like that and then he like throws it. You know, it's like very dramatic. You're like, oh man, this guy means business.
Snatched out her eye.
Yeah, snatched out her.
Snatched out is a great way to put that.
Yeah, snatched out. So I think I'm gonna make one that just eliminates all these edge loops, and then I can just bring this up so it's like more of a handlebar because I think that's great too.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we're going to want to rig that or something, I think, just so that it can do all kinds of fun stuff.
Oh,
like if we just added a couple of bones in there and weighted it, we could have it flying all around the place. Maybe not this week, but eventually.
I love that this guy also, this is from like our second, I think this was when I was just making some shapes and you were like getting going, just even making the kind of,
this is from a ways ago.
Cousins. And I was just making these guys and going, what do you think of this? And you were kind of plugging them in. But like this cap, I love because it's like a Russian,
like a Russian cap. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
it all fuzzy.
Yeah. Oh, just the medium of mushrooms is so fun because basically all you need really to have it identify is some sort of a cap and a stem. And then beyond that, you're like, go, man, just go crazy. So it's like, oh, so much fun.
Roll on, roll out, Autobots.
Oh man, not to get on the the COVID stuff, but man, Omnicon, isn't that it? What it's called? Omnicon, the new variant.
Omicron, I believe they're all Greek letters.
Oh man,
yeah, Delta, Omicron, yeah, those are all Greek letters.
Omicron. I was like, dude, whoa, Omicron. This is. I don't know what we're dealing with here, but that was immediately where my mind went. Omicrons.
Yeah.
Roll out.
Ruler of Omicron, Persei 8. Lure.
I'm like, oh, I don't know if I should be.
I feel
joking
like I
about
should
this
go
stuff.
flean a skull in its honor.
Yes. Oh yes. It's much important.
Let's see here. Now we got to come up with a. This is not working for fur here. It's a start. The idea is there,
Oh.
but it's not there.
Hmm.
Let's see.
Yeah, no, that has some potential, especially if we could add a lip to the bottom of that, of each of those. That
Yeah,
might,
something that like a little thickening here.
yeah, because then that would create some finality. Because right now it just looks like a texture stop. But if you had like
Yeah.
a little bit of a lip there, that would really probably read quite well.
Let me see if I can work something out with that by like
That's cool, man. That's
doubling
looking
back
cool.
on the texture and adding to it. We're getting there. We're
Yeah.
getting there. It's not to my satisfaction. It's very cartoony at this point, but the base is okay. The inky part is okay. This is the brown inky part, but I'll make this into I'll expose parameters so we can set it to whatever color. Okay. Well, we got to figure this out. Let's see. Got these little inset drips here that are acting funky. Oh, because I'm not transforming it the same way. So we might actually still be able to do this. So let's go from here to... Oh my goodness. Yeah, okay. I see why this is funky. Oh yeah, so much better. Like not perfect, but instantaneously 10 times better.
Yes. Yep.
Because now it's gathering them a little bit. I think I need a little bit more chaos in the fur in general. That's maybe just a little more warping, then get the color in, and then, as you said, get some thickening at the bottom. That might be, maybe that's what I can handle with the height map, so I'm not pushing the displacement too much.
Yeah, the only other thing that looks a little weird for me is like how the origin on some of them, like even though the diagonal nature it's consistent, I still feel like they would, because of the structure of the mushroom.
Yeah, they should be more straight down.
Yeah. Yeah,
Agreed.
so if they flayed out a little bit towards the bottom, no problem. But it does seem like just the nature, especially you have the striations there. If there's a way to
Let's
orient
see what
it.
we can accomplish here with
Even
some.
that's not bad. It's a different look, but that's cool.
Yeah,
It's almost
but I
like
can also rotate this one and
Yeah.
I should be able to get this to travel in a more sensible direction, I think. I love that I can just plug in alternatives at the beginning of the chain and see an immediate change. Okay, so this is just too big, so let's scale this. It's a little more like fiberglass than I'd like.
Yeah.
Okay. That might be an interesting basis. I could blend some together to create like an overall direction. I might also just be able to take directional noise, make that happen. Oh, that's going the wrong direction now too. Plug the original back in. Nope. Back in. Just gonna mumble to myself for the rest of the hour now. Actually, it is almost time for us to wrap up. Is there anything you want to cover before we wrap things up for the day?
Just to be good to one another and to always find the unique spire in every snowflake out there.
I love it.
Right. That's really the lesson of the day. I think
be
that's what we covered.
Excellent to each other.
Yes. Party on, dudes. Obviously.
Party on. Party on, Batman.
Party on, Verbal.
And party on to you. Oh, Oscar asks, "Hey, Pop Tart, you won a place in the ZBrush Summit Sculpt Off. Congrats on that." Little
Oscar, thank you.
A little recognition there.
Thank you, man. That's that's actually turning some kind of cool opportunities too. It's like the lesson there that I would impart is always show up, because
yes,
I got laid off that week, and despite all of the weeks that Verbal and I both a lot of this last year had been doing sculpt off practices on Monday, which are fine and developing skills all on your own. When it came time to finally do the damn thing, I was like, do I feel up for it? and I was like, I'm going to do it because you got to show up. I'm just going to try and do something I'm proud of. And I placed, and now there's kind of some cool stuff that I get to be a part of as a result. So always show up. Take the shot. Take the shot, guys. That's
very, very good advice. In fact,
Yes.
advice I didn't take. I didn't show up because I have a fear of competition, and I often freeze and don't participate. But
I think I had a lot more to gain.
I could have placed.
You could have placed, definitely. But I think I had more in my state of things. Like it had. There's been some gain in that I think I've really benefited from. So I thank you for not showing up, because maybe that wouldn't have happened. You might have gotten that benefit.
No, we could have taken the top 3 slots together, and then we could write our own ticket from then on out, right?
That would have been tremendous. But yeah, thank you.
Next year.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you. So
yeah, pretty rad.
Yeah, fun stuff. I love this stuff.
Right.
So thanks, Oscar. Thank you, DGC, for checking in with us. Really appreciate any attention you guys are giving. Everybody go check out, who might be watching, Oscar's art as well. He's got some fantastic work and some fantastic. Is Oscar, did he transition over to Object as well? I'm hoping.
I'm actually not sure. Oscar, what have you done since Hen shut down? Did you move over to hen.art? Did you move your stuff over to, did you make collections on Object? Let's see here. I just wanted to share Oscar's Twitter here.
Yeah.
Because he's got some rad stuff.
Really good
we've
work.
Seen. And let's see. Is this your Molandros? Am I saying that right? Make sure I am. I think I am.
That's amazing.
He's just got a ton of fun stuff. His hen collection in particular, the easiest thing for me to do is just go to my collection, because I has one. Let's go to Object, Cousin. Well, we don't need to go to Cousins. I guess we'll just have a quick stop off on Cousins here, just to check in on it.
It's kind of a little plug at the end of the show.
And then I can go over here to Owned. I'll show you my Bardez original here.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So good. Like, he could have easily done
one of these,
and
right?
It would have been a super win. It wouldn't even need to animate. It wouldn't need to do the amazing electrical fade in and out. I mean, you rigged the little the gobblers and the fin as well on top of it. I mean, come on, man. Talk about going in with the extra work. Like, kudos to you, man.
Put the work in, brother. Yep. Only
really
15 Tez. Get out there, my friends.
Yeah. So check out Oscar's fantastic work. And then check us out too. Keep checking in with us.
Oh yeah. Little voidstrummer.com here. You guys can see what's late. Oh, just one more thing. I now have an updates page on voidstrummer.com so that people that want to know, if we're having a drop, when drops are happening, and all of that fun stuff, they don't have to rely necessarily just on, like, where was that tweet? So we have a page now for any important updates. And speaking of, we would like to have a new flush of mildews out by the end of the week. We'll see. I think it's looking good, but I'm not ready to fully say it's on at this point.
I think we can achieve it. I think the only thing that we may hold us back is the idea of some additional fun stuff, like we could.
Well, those don't have to be in the first drop either.
Yeah, we could totally do it. We have the technology. We
have
the
technology,
designs,
exactly.
But the one of the great things I love about Verbal is he always knows when to push to get that extra icing. Like my tendency is this cake is good. Stop messing with it. I want to eat it. But he's like, oh, but that cherry on there, that's gonna take it up. Like,
see, that's right. Where the partnership makes so much sense, because I can't be putting cherries on everything all the time. So.
There is too many cherries.
I mean, cherries are delicious, but they have pits too, is the problem.
Can't be everywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this has been Ian with Voidstrummer, joined by my esteemed collaborator, Batman. I get to collaborate with Batman, the great detective.
It's worked out so nice for me that everybody just shortens it to Batman. It's
yep.
like
That's
I get
perfect.
called Batman unabashedly. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's been
You
awesome.
got
man.
it.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, everybody. Be well, and I'll see you soon.
See you guys.